GM everyone, welcome to Lord's Table 19. Welcome to the Realms.World. We are going to run through lots of news from across the network and ecosystem, focusing a lot on games. And, we're entering into a period where the Frontinus House early projects and from the first rounds are starting to really cook. And we're going to go into a period where there's lots of new on-chain games for everyone to play. We'll talk a little bit about the incorporation of the DAO and a little bit of DAO news, and then we'll run through some. Hello. We'll also run through just general news and opportunities for people who want to participate in the development of the realms. But we'll start off with a talk from Loaf, just reaffirming why we chose Starknet and why, if we had the choice again tomorrow, we would still choose Starknet. So, Loaf, how do you want to play this?
Yo, GM, yeah. I'll just go off the chats because we've gone we've been on this road for a long time. So people probably have heard me say a lot of these things over and over again. But I'll keep it concise. Look, so wind it back to end of 21, when we originally started to try to build these games, and we were building them on Arbitrum, and we the first kind of game that we built, we realized this was pre every framework and everything. It's end of 21, there wasn't really anything. We realized that we were just hitting all these barriers in terms of the type of game that we wanted to build. The EVM just really doesn't allow for that. Makes it very difficult. And so we explored alternatives. And we're really kind of thinking back then, we want to build a world that is unconstrained in what we what we want to do, and we don't want to have to hit some hard limit eventually in this. And so that kind of led us down this path of ZK and kind of learning about that magical world. And ZK, zero knowledge proofs, allow us to do these allow us to really verify the integrity of our programs without having to rerun them. I actually just posted an article. I don't know if anyone's read that, but have a look at the article I just put out about provable games, and I go explain this stuff in a bit more depth. But they kind of learning about that kind of made us think, well, this is this path is clearly the path to build this provable world that we want to do, and we'll be unconstrained in the computation and whatnot. And so that kind of led us to Starknet. And look, Starknet was early when we jumped onto it and started building it. But 2.5 years later, it's accelerated incredibly fast. It's got a thriving ecosystem of builders and gamers. The Dojo game engine spawned from it, which is what we're using across the whole ecosystem. And so we're committed to this Starknet because it really enables us to do what we want to do. And this is so still early in the journey of these type of games. On-chain games have really only been around for a couple of years, really, and really in the last 6 months if they really kind of started to get some good visibility. And these games that we're building are really going to last for a long time. And so these aren't just flashes in the pan or Web 2.5 games. These games are really going to last for as long as the network exists. And so there's a couple of things I missed there. One of the key things is why we're building this L3, right? And we've been talking about L3 for 2 years. Is that Starknet and Stark allow you to do this recursive scaling technique where you can. So Starknet basically works by you running your transactions on Starknet, and they submit this proof to Ethereum, and you verify it, and you can trust that everything that's happened in that rollup is truthful because of this. This has been verified with the Starks. And with L3, we basically do the same thing, but we settle the state to Starknet, which allows us to guarantee that security using Starks, but be on another layer up, which allows us to do like cheaper transactions again. Now that's only really possible with Starks right now. You might like hear about L3s on like Arbitrum and stuff, but they're pretty much just like sidechains. They don't really have great security guarantees or anything. They really sacrifice in that regard. And so that's why we do what we do, because we want to maintain this like sovereignty over the chain, and maximize security. So yeah, and then and it's also like it's also really nice building in a language that is not Solidity, that doesn't have its constraints. So
when it comes to on-chain gaming, would you say that there are things that we can build bigger games and games with more kind of richness and complexity compared to any other network at the current state of maturity that they are?
it allows you to do, it allows you to do hidden information a lot easier. So like there are other approaches to building games, of course, but when you build them with Cairo, you get these like natural properties that make it easier to do these hidden information and whatnot. So yeah, there are properties that you can do a lot easier, like natively with this stack, that aren't possible with other stacks.
And over the last week or two, Starknet have announced the ST. I don't know how you say it. Stu. Can you talk briefly about why that's relevant? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really early still. Well, if anyone is like a real CK nerd, go and check out Stu, which is STWO, which is their like next generation prover. And they're claiming it for it to be about 100 times faster in their proving speeds, which basically will allow for like even cheaper, like greater scale. Because if you make things faster, it means you can do things faster, and you can advertise the cost. And it makes it more efficient, of course. So, but I think that's still a little while away. But I suspect the community will be galvanized around that to build interesting things on it.
Yeah. And I think just one of the things, observations about the Starknet stack is that the push to create like a decentralized ecosystem with almost like a kind of modular playbook where there are different provers and different sequences and different elements of the tech stack, which are just perhaps more modular, which allows us to build, a kind of network and ecosystem very suited to us, our needs. So I think that's kind of, to be honest, we've talked about the tech plenty, but I think that if it's important to remind ourselves that why we're here, which is that the ZK and Starks as a tech solution, plus the sort of Starknet approach to decentralize everything and to have multiple infrastructures running in parallel for us to be able to check, to build the ecosystem we want. That's just something that we would still gravitate towards today, should we pick a network, as it was, 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's not possible to run a game like with Survivor in any other Ethereum ecosystem. That's just a fact. So yeah, there's no other way. I think sometimes we get jaded with like, this industry moves. Like I feel like no one really sleeps, and we sometimes forget like it's still really early in this kind of like L2 cycle. And comparing like an Arbitrum or like an optimistic rollup that's been around for pretty much a year and a half more longer than these ZK rollups isn't really a fair comparison. You can compare them like right this day, but ZK really is clearly the end game. Optimistic rollups are always going to have like a lead to begin with, it's like this is like a this is a long. This industry isn't going anywhere. It's not a flash in the pan. Some of these L2 networks are going to be gigantic. So, and that's we strongly believe that Starknet will be one of them. And actually, I mean, Starknet's probably actually the furthest along in its decentralization as well, which is kind of funny. It actually has a clear path to it, whereas a lot of other roll-ups don't really. But anyway, that's another story.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll move along now. But yeah, thank you, Dave. Your mic got a little bit muffled towards the end there, by the way.
Did it? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. That's all right. Forgivable. So next up, we'll run through some DAO news. Calc, are you there, sir?
GM. Hello.
Hello. Okay, let me know when you want me to tab along.
Yeah, go to the next one. Right, okay. So, good morning. I've got the less interesting, less fun game bit, so I'll be like 1 minute or maybe 2 at most, I promise. So first up, we are incorporated in the Marshall Islands. Finally, we did it. Yay. We can all DM Gogi and Tani and say congrats.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, so we now have a holiday home for everyone. Yeah, so that happened last week, and the quickest and easiest way to describe this is now that we have a way to interface with Web 2. Pretty much up till this point, we've just been a murky Web3 ominous entity that isn't even an entity, so we can now speak and interact with the world now. So yeah, it's good. If you want to go to the next slide. Bit more detail on it. So we're noted as a non-profit, which just the main difference for us is that we can't now pay dividends to Realms holders, and that strictly means like revenue come in, revenue go out to Realms holders. That's the main difference, or I guess rule that we can't not do. I guess what our kind of mission, I guess, within the incorporation is to be dedicated to open source and on-chain game community. That's essentially the mission statement, as it were. There is a constitution. I can link it if anyone wants it. But yeah, membership rights. So this hasn't really changed. You'll all probably understand one realm is one realm, and that equals one vote. Similar to vote process. But the only difference now is you have a claim of an entity and you own an entity now, not a on-chain DAO. So I know, I guess that's cool. Last point on that is legal framework compliance. And all this means is that realistically, the entity now conforms to the Marshall Islands legal requirements. This kind of links back to what I initially said, where it's kind of reputational, and also, no one's going to get rugged. So when we do speak to and interact with Web 2 world, we now have an entity backing us. They know that we're not some sketchy, murky crypto people, and they have an actual entity to interact with. But yeah, next up, if you want to change that, thank y'all. Okay, so me and OXS from the Herald, we're implementing a monthly frontness house call. Essentially, it'll just be an open call where anyone who's building in frontness house will just have a slot to catch up and say what they're doing. This is next Tuesday, so if anyone's bored and they want to come, we will upload a recording. Although we haven't done last month's yet, but that'll come in the next day or so. But yeah, Tuesday next week. I think last month's was I think it was like 7 p.m. GMT, so it was more for like America time. We'll probably knock it back. There'll be an announcement later, but we'll probably do it more towards the Asian time, so like 10 a.m. GMT, around now, pretty much. Oh yeah, and last but not least, we're working on the new Frontless House grant. This is in tandem with the ecosystem council stuff that's getting done. Essentially, we're just trying to refine and make the whole Frontless House process better, with some people responsible to really superpower this stuff. We've got a ton of momentum. We got like ridiculous amount of teams and people working with us and working on top of Realms.World. So the aim with that is just to like make this the best thing ever, essentially, superpower this stuff. But yeah, the point here is, if you want to be part of that, if you want to add some feedback, get your thoughts, do anything, catch up with that, what's happening there, just go to the ecosystem channel. It's in Discord. Just have a little scroll through now. There's a pin of the draft for the next Frontless House round, and yeah, just get stuck in if you want to. If governance, operationally stuff in any way interests you, or you want to know what we're doing. I think that's me. I've been about 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Do you want to talk about your upcoming BIP, or do you want to save that for a later occasion?
Save that for now.
Later occasion.
All I'll
Yeah.
say is we'll have, with the incorporation stuff and being able to interact with Web2 companies, there'll be some BIPs coming up in the next couple weeks. But that's all I'll say for now. You'll know when there's an announcement, Pink. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sakalk. Very appreciated. So next up, we get into this is, if you were ever wondering what the Realms world will become, I think you can start to see it now when you see what's kind of coming for players in the ecosystem. We're entering into the playtest season. I was going to say it's the first playtest season because it's kind of the first grants from the first era or first round of Frontless House grants have started to ship. So there's going to be a flow now of things for you to come along and play. So I'm going to run through the 7 upcoming or current play tests. I'm actually sure there's probably more that will be appearing alongside of these as well, but these are the ones that I'm aware of. And the time frame on these is anything from starting today through to in the next 6 weeks. So we're talking about the sort of near future for these. So first up, and these are in no particular order, but this is Z Conqueror. I see Chilex on the call, but Z Conqueror is the title from Z Corp, which is going to drop into the Realms world. And for anyone who's ever played a game of Risk, they will probably look at this board and get quite excited. I'm not going to talk in a great amount of detail about the games. I'm just going to sort of do a quick overview of the playtesting. But these guys have got their playtest coming up in the very near future. And with every one of these, I've just included their Twitter handle. So suggest you give them a follow, and then you'll be the first to know about playtests. Obviously, in the Discord, we'll talk about them as well. But yeah, this is a super exciting one. Awesome team starting to ship, and I look forward to playing this one particularly. Pistols at 10 blocks. So congratulations to the new studio underwear. So I think that many of you would have been hands-on with Pistols at 10 blocks already. It's recently just had a pretty significant update with changes to the way that the pistols and the blades work, so that there's a kind of more likely outcome that somebody is going to end up dead. And going forward, this game will introduce wagers and stakes. So it's something to put on the line, Lords tokens in effect. So when there's beef, the best way to settle it will be to do a round of pistols at 10 blocks. It's live now. You can come along and play and challenge. There's a channel in the Discord where you'll find the link to the website. But again, suggest you follow on Twitter or X rather, to get the news about playtests as they come. This one is also looking very beautiful. They've made some lovely upgrades to the aesthetics recently as well. So very excited about pistols at 10 blocks. Arcane Assembler. So Arcane Assembler, again, that's the handle. These guys have created a spell crafting game where you're looking to create the most powerful spell without destroying yourself in the process. My understanding is that these guys have got a playtest coming up in the not too distant future. That's my doorbell going off. I'll just ignore that. So yeah, again, keep an eye out for those guys on Arcane Assembler on X to get the intel on their playtest. Paved. So Paved is based on the board game Carcassonne. I don't know how you say that word. That's the first time I've ever said it out loud. But it's a very popular strategy game that has been translated into an on-chain game. There was a playtest yesterday in the Discord, the sort of early dev version of the game. But you'll note when you play this that it's been adapted from original format. Oh, the loaf is coming.
I can say a couple of words. I'll say
Yeah,
a couple of words. I think Bal and Rev are on the call as well. So and the Cumberland as well. I was going to say, yeah. So this Paved is like inspired by Carcassonne, but as the game developed, it kind of evolved into more like a real-time strategy type tile placing game. It's definitely still evolving. So there actually is a live domain in the Paved channel. It's paved.gg, and you can actually go and play a game. I think the game guide is also like embedded in that channel. So go and play and give some feedback if you like these tile games. It's definitely going to evolve because they're not finished, but the kind of engine and the framework is there. So you can kind of experience it. But feedback around point systems and gameplay and ideas and whatnot are welcomed.
So one of the observations about all of these games is that they involve lords in some way that's either defined currently or undefined currently. What are you thinking about with lords and Paved? Or is it
I think it's definitely still TBT. I think, like me personally, what I keep coming back to, well, like one of these like great kind of genres of on-chain games, which is I kind of define these Paved-like games, and same with like Risk and stuff. These like session-based games, they don't last that long, but they might be good for like an hour or 30 minutes or even shorter. And what you can do with, what the great thing about on-chain games is that, they're anti-cheat. You can't defeat the rules. We're all abided by the chain. And so that it has this level of hardness to it. And then you also have this like escrow ability, right? And so, you can create these high intensity games, where you can have high stakes. And so, and so I want to see more of the games like this where people are, backing themselves to win the game, and other people are as well. And you can create these like big kind of, big session based games where there's a big pot essentially, and you back yourself to win the game. I think that's really interesting, and a really novel, a novel use case for on-chain games as well. You couldn't do that without this, because you have to rely on the server, and the server can then obviously manipulate stuff, but here you can't. So and so I think Paved could definitely go down that path of the stakes in the game where you put up a 500 lords buy-in or something if you back yourself, and other people can come along and try to take you down. That's one usage. So yeah, and that'll obviously be based in lords.
Very nice. So for this one, again, there's a new Twitter handle, Paved Game, that's been spun up. and there's a channel in the Discord. If you want to participate in the playtest, head that way. Rising Revenant. So Rising Revenant, many of you guys might have participated in the last round of playtesting, and my understanding is that the guys took on board all the feedback from all the players, and has another version to share in the next 4 to 6 weeks. This game is a strategic game involving chance, where you are looking to be the last man standing, and you're tactically choosing, which of your outposts to reinforce. The playtesting on this was super promising. I know that the Grogs Lair are very committed to Rising Revenant, and I suggest you head to at RR Rising Revenant on X again to be first in the line to know about their next playtest. Call the Banners. So Call the Banners is going on chain. Again, within the sort of 4 to 6 week range, we'll have a playtest for what is a sort of social coordination game, where people are effectively mercenaries who are attacking either Red Castle or Blue Castle. What's beautiful about this is that it's something that's gone from being like a Discord game to keep people entertained, to like spinning up to a game in and of itself. Brawl and Cajun have also, and the dev teams over there have also been experimenting with Warpcast rather. We look forward to look in the visuals, it's looking beautiful. Looking forward to playtesting this in the next sort of, let's say, month, 6 weeks. And this is probably or possibly new to those who participated in the voting for the projects to receive a Frontinus House grant. So Force Prime is the studio, and they are a game designers and game developers from, I guess, what we call the Web 2 space, who were looking for the next frontier to create innovation in games. And they looked at Web 2.5 stuff, kind of didn't think it was all that exciting, and then discovered on-chain gaming, and are committed to creating new experiences in on-chain games. Force Prime Heroes is their first title, and it's built with the as everything, I think pretty much all the games we just talked through are all dojo based games. So Force Prime have built Force Prime Heroes on the Starknet and Dojo tech stack, and have decided to launch their game, or a version of their game, inside of the Realms. For those who saw on Twitter, we actually sponsored the version of the last tournament these guys did, which was a showcase for ETH Denver, which I think was received really well. I think a lot of people participated, but we are rebooting. We've got a new map and a new tournament starting literally right now. I'll post the link afterwards. I think it might be lords.forceprime.io, but I will check that and post straight afterwards. But new map, new tournament. It lasts for 1 week, starting from now and ending I think 9 a.m. UTC on the 13th of March, or the 14th of March. I'll put that detail into the announcement. But this is lovely to see. It's lovely to see a studio which is kind of coming in from a different direction and building in the Realms.World, having kind of discovered it via Dojo. Again, a really lovely example of the ecosystem kind of building momentum, and the benefits of building out or building on the Dojo tech stack means that sort of compatibility and composability are a lot more baked in. So we can. I know that these guys want to explore how they can get assets and elements from other Realms.World games, like the Beasts, for example, and perhaps even the Golden Tokens, and certainly the Lord's Token. They're working out how they can get those into their game. Gameplay is based upon the Heroes of Might and Magic games, where you are you're a character whose objective is to take out the boss. The boss is the Bone Dragon. To take out the Bone Dragon, you need to build a powerful army, and to do that, you need to sort of move around the map, confronting the kind of other enemies, killing them, making money, and then building a bigger army. And for anyone who played the last tournament, it's about trying to do it in as few game days as possible. So there's a sort of score multiplier or bonus for doing it, for achieving this. In the fewest number of days, and so that it works really well from like a leaderboard perspective. So new map, new tournament. There's a 2,500 Lords prize fund, 1,000 Lords to the first placed individual with the high score. I think 500 Lords to the second place, and then 100 Lords to just 10 participants who get onto the leaderboard in that time. So it's open now for a week. I'll post up the link in the Discord afterwards. But if you follow those guys on X at @ForcePrime_IO. So that, I think, is the sort of rattle through the games that are about to go into testing. You'll note that I haven't talked about like Loot Survivor and Eternum in there. Like we'll sort of like come back to those, on the next call, and really go into the detail of what the guys have been doing into developing those games. But I think we just wanted to showcase the Frontinus House projects and the ecosystem projects that are very close to, or rather, stepping towards their main net. So I'll go now into news and opportunities. So this is from a whip around the realms. This is something which has been in the works for a little while. Only Dust is a platform which allows projects, like open source projects like ours, to post up issues and bounties, meaning that we can effectively have a job board which will allow anyone with dev skills to come along and take a challenge or take an issue and go away and complete that. And I think that's a really lovely tool to allow more and more developers to come into the ecosystem and get a first taste of working with Realms and Dojo. Loaf, do you want to talk a bit about this at all?
Yeah, I will touch on this. So, yeah, Only Dust is it's a platform for building like open source products. So all development work will be pushed through this, starting like tomorrow. Well, pretty much it's already started. And so this will enable, outside like new contributors to come and build, Realms.World marketplace, or contribute to Eternum, or contribute to any game and any product that's being built. And it has like a streamlined payment process. So yeah, it's a good unlock for a DAO to scale up work. And everything's tracked via GitHub. So yeah, so if you are a developer and you want to come contribute, drop into the dev channel, reach out to me, and probably going to be changing some of their I guess there's going to be a lot more issues in the GitHubs, put it that way, and so you can come and tackle them if they're open. So yeah, if you want to contribute, this makes it easier, and you can get paid.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome, lovely. All right. So in terms of the Realms.World website, there's been a real baptism of fire for the marketplace with Blowbert. So I won't go through the like kind of latest features that have just been deployed in the last 24 hours. Redbeard has got a devlog So if you go to the Discord and there's a Realms.World kind of section, you can go there and you can read for yourself. But Blowbert, I think, has illustrated the potential for the Realms.World marketplace to become, a pretty key part of the Realms ecosystem. I think it's something like, it's over 1/3 of a million, or approaching 1/3 of a million Lords volume on that collection. And Redbeard has been shipping new features with some contributors who have been helping alongside. So we really appreciate the kind of the fast start with this, and as new collections are minted or launched, for example, banners coming up, you'll see them on the Realms.World collection marketplace. If you have ideas or features that you'd like to see in the marketplace, please do go along to either the Realms.World channels and start a conversation there, or head towards the GitHub and raise an issue. Eternum. So I think we'll come back and do on the next call a much deeper dive into Eternum. But if you want to stay in touch with the latest development, Rachel is publishing a weekly devlog, again in the Eternum section. Again, I won't run through all of what's been sort of shared in there, but you could go back and have a look through and see what the progress is. The game has moved toward a hexed-based board, so it's, if you can kind of see in the detail here, where effectively Eternum is that the islands, which you're kind of familiar with, are the center of this this map, and the map is near infinite. I think that's wow, that somebody's just plopped in a new image in front of me. There you go.
I got the screenshot.
Awesome, man. Talk it through.
Yeah. So each of this is a we'll have to do a full deep dive. We're going to write a bunch more about this, and there'll be a new kind of doc coming out. But so the whole of Eternum, like the world, exists on this giant procedurally generated hex grid, and this hex grid has specific biomes. So you can see here all the kind of sand biomes, water biomes, castle biomes. I forgot exactly how many there are, but they're all they all exist on chain, and this is like a representation of them. And these are like essentially infinite in every direction. And so the Eternum world kind of sits at the center of this map. I think like right now it's 2 million hexes by 2 million hexes. So yeah, there's a lot of hexes. We'll probably make that larger in the future. But it means that, but they're all deterministic, right? And so like a biome at X value 2 million and Y value 2 million will already be established with this map. And so Eternum builds on it, and it has its trading system and its combat system. But it creates this really rich environment for people to build using these deterministic biomes on top of it. So yeah, it's quite novel in that approach. But also it's this is a really cool visual. Amara's been nailing these biomes. This is kind of like a low poly theme that we're going for, so they can render heaps of them in a browser. But yeah, it's looking really sick. And I think there. One other thing, the actual L3 alpha network, I just posted docs about it, and so we're going to be shipping this version of Eternum on it. But anyone else can actually come along and deploy games onto it too, starting like today. So that's up. It's the alpha network, so it's more like a testnet. But anyone can come along and build and ship onto it, which is cool. So
very cool.
Yeah,
and I think increasingly, the way to think about the Realms.World is to think about it as a network which is optimized it's a network and ecosystem optimized for on-chain gaming. So Realms has been on a journey from building an on-chain game to building an autonomous world, which is Eternum, and now obviously building our ecosystem and supporting others to build games and kind of creating the conditions for others to be able to deploy games into the same world. And now the tech stack is evolving to create our own L3 network where others can permissionlessly deploy their games. So when you're stepping into the Realms.World network L3, you're kind of stepping into the Realms in a sort of there's going to be full of alternate dimensions and different games for you to experience. So I think that this vision is really taking shape now. I'm incredibly bullish and excited about the next 12 months in the Realms. Loot Survivor, we I guess anyone the players will have been suffering because of just the crazy L1 gas, meaning that when you are playing on a game on L2, unfortunately you're still bearing the brunt of that L1 gas cost for settling the state change to L1. The 4844 or Denkun upgrade on the 13th of March is now, that's 6 days away. It's amazingly just like not known about what impact blobs will have on the various networks. There's research out there from, I think, Nethermind, which outlines some predictions. Do you want to speak to this, Lev?
I could touch on it, but people may have seen like an OP stack post going around where it was like claiming 60x, some crazy stuff. All the nerds in the across the entire Ethereum ecosystem are fighting about this right now. So I think it needs to be seen. No one really knows. That was actually based off like Polymarket prediction, which it itself probably didn't have the full information. So everything is kind of got extrapolated on that. But the thing to remember here is that what this upgrade allows is it allows rollups to post their data to a cheaper kind of layer, essentially, which then a lot of the cost in L2s comes from that cost of storing it on Ethereum. And so this massively reduces that. And so the rollups that have the biggest cost associated with that will benefit the most. And currently, according to the Nethermind article, Starknet, out of all the ZK rollups, is actually in best shape for that. But it really needs to be seen what happens at this update.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big day. March 13th, big day to sort of see how much cheaper it will be for the various L2s. It's obviously ideally removing one of the major constraints upon on-chain gaming, the cost of transactions, and there are other things that are planned that are Starknet tech stack specific. The thing called Volition, which would look to lower the price again by letting the devs to choose where data is stored, and data storage being a big part of the cost. So it's not the only thing that will influence gas prices going forward, but it is hopefully the game changer, as it were. So from the perspective of Loot Survivor, it just means that be the cost to play will be hopefully far more palatable. And just a reminder that Loot Survivor is in a has been through a few different kind of phases. Written into smart contracts were a number of phases. So, and those phases were about how the Lord's allocation from somebody playing a game is split, and the phase that we're in currently, which is the sort of final phase, is that 28% of the Lords tokens that go to the person who created the client, meaning that it's really incentivizing people to create front ends for the smart contracts, which are the Loot Survivor smart contracts. And we've seen some really cool, incredibly cool tools being created. Shout out to Await and to Frontboat, who have done amazing things. I also, with the drop in gas costs with Dencun, I think that the Loot Survivor fanatics can get back into the zone. So more tokens will be going into the machine. I mean, there's a bigger pie for front end developers to come along and take a piece of. So Loot Survivor lives on, and obviously Loot Survivor V2 has been funded, and I know that the guys are in the trenches on that. So yeah, just touching upon Loot Survivor there. Loaf, do you want to speak about the studio alignment BIP that you just posted this morning?
Oh yeah, sure. If anyone hasn't read that, there's a BIP up, and there's also a forum discussion around it, so you can get a lot of context there. But the higher level context is, there's, like the real way that a network like the Realms network succeeds is with many social and like technology nodes. And so, I mean, you can kind of define like a studio as like a social node in the network, right? And this BIP allows a path for studios that exist that, could have been funded by frontenders that, want to take it to the next level, or outside studios to come along and have long-term alignment around the Lord's token. And so it's really like a flag in the ground to tell people that you can come and build in this network. And you can come and get funding if you're you can bring your funding, as in you can get outside funding and then align yourself with Lords to come and build within the network. And so it's a really flag in the ground to allow people to do that. I think this is the clear path. It's always kind of been in the back of my mind that this is the path. We just weren't quite ready there yet, but I think there are already established studios that exist within this ecosystem that are ready for that. So we should be willing to, take risks and back good founders and good studios in order to expand the network.
Yeah, and I think just one thing to add to that is that the head start that Realms has from being early into this, this challenge of building an on-chain game, and the groundwork we've done to be a visible part of the autonomous world and an on-chain gaming kind of space, that counts for something. But over time, people are going to be there's going to be more and more VC capital flying around, and they're going to be coming after the talent. So it makes all the sense in the world to align the talent that we have. We've worked to bring into this ecosystem to lock them in, to give them security, for them to build, and for them to cook over the next couple of years. So this BIP is in. There's a discussion in the Discord. I will probably kind of do an announcement with the BIP as well, so you'll be able to access it easily. But yeah, this was posted just a few hours ago in the discussion in the Discord. This is just something that's kind of quite fun. Obviously, Blobert arrived in style on his birthday, and we're blessed to have the sort of wild energy of Ezra over the past few weeks, kind of setting up the Stark, really making a big deal of the Stark shields, and also making sure that the dojo sort of sensei Bloberts have been kind of going over towards, have been basically shipped to, he's been collecting them and shipping them to Dojo with the intention of making them rewards for future game jams. I think that what we will probably do as a DAO, and this is for discussion, but is incentivize a Blowbert track in the upcoming Dojo game jam. I'm not sure what the dates are, but they tend to come around reasonably quickly. So that's just something to think about. So if you're a Blowbert fan and you're a dev, you can start thinking now about how you might make a game that involves Blowbert, and then there's a platform there in the game jam to find a team and to start to pull together a scaffold an idea. Loaf, I know, is always his DMs are open if you want to start a new project in Dojo, and will help you kind of to take your idea and turn it into a kind of practical plan to, as I say, like a scaffold for you to go and actually execute that. Many of the teams who are about to do playtests, and we showed you some of their work, today. For example, the guys over at Z Corp, they started off by getting together a team and entering some of the Realm-sponsored game jams, and then going into the Dojo game jams, and then subsequently went to get Frontiers House funding, and who knows? We'd love to see those guys go on to apply for like a studio alignment partnership. So there's a path. So if you're a developer or people who should be building inside of the Realms, there's a real pipeline from game jams to then Frontiers House grants through to things like the studio alignment program. So you can start off very small. For example, when Only Dust is fully set up, you have to pick an issue and start from there. But the upcoming Dojo Game Jam is a really good starting place to start building out an on-chain game or on-chain experience. Are you reading the Herald? So the Realms Week in Review is being going out every week. It's recently shifted from being a Thursday publication to a Tuesday publication. But congratulations to the Herald team for the consistency and quality of their output. I know it takes a lot of hustle every week to get that out there. So make sure that you are following those guys on X and subscribing to the Substack. Their data has been tracking really, really well in terms of opens and things. So let's just keep the momentum going. This has already been covered by Calc earlier on, but there is a Frontiers House Builders Catch-up on Tuesday of next week. There is a video from the last one, but it hasn't yet been posted, but hopefully we'll get that sorted in the next couple of days. I think that's it, guys. So tons of news, lots to be involved in and be excited about in March. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask now? We can have a little open Q&A.
Is that Builders Catch Up 5 p.m. GMT on March the 12th?
I moved it to this time, so 10 a.m. GMT, just to vary it for the other builders. You can see it in the events now.
Thank you.
It should be updated.
Nice. Any other questions, thoughts? Ooh. Cool. Well, I think then we will wrap up there in a nice clean hour. Awesome. Thank you. Wow, actually, lots of you been on this call. Lots of Blowberts there. That's awesome. Keep an eye on the Discord for all the playtesting. I will post after this the details and the link to the new Force Prime Heroes tournament. So that's something you can start to get involved with now. And let's see what scores we can kind of get to on the new leaderboard. Okay, Lords. Thanks everyone. Speak to you soon.